Hello, this is Christy Rubenstein from DMA, consultants to the ODFC CT503 CoC. And welcome to this video, which will provide an overview of the ODFC Project Monitoring Tool workbook. As you can see, I have already opened the workbook, and I'm going to go first to the main worksheet, which is called QM Eval Tool Data Entry, and we'll have a number version listed as well. For this video, I am using version 11.1, but you may be using a newer version. That's okay, since we typically make small changes over time, but the tool itself is pretty consistent in terms of overall format. One thing you might notice right away is that the cells in the worksheets throughout this workbook are locked, except for the yellow highlighted cells. You will also see that much of this particular worksheet is grayed out. The grayed out areas indicate parts of the worksheet that will not show up in a printed copy or PDF export. The grayed out section along the side offers tips related to the data being input into the worksheet. And the gray section at the top includes instructions and notes. You should read through this section as it provides useful information, such as the date range for the APR data to be used for the submission that you are working on. When you go into the QM Eval Tool Data Entry worksheet, the first section that you will be asked to input information into is going to be the General Information section. This is where we collect basic information about your project. You'll see that some of the cells have drop-down menus with preset lists for you to select from. Other cells are open for you to type into. Be sure to fully complete all of the information requested in this section. If you do not, some of the outcomes in the project report will not calculate. In particular, you need to make sure you select a project type. You need to enter in the number of units in the project and enter in the number of households who exited and entered during the time period. As you scroll into the next section, which is data input, you will see many yellow cells that are unlocked into which you will input your APR data. For some of the APR questions, you will see that there are grayed out and locked cells. That is because there is no APR data for those specific fields in the APR table. As you scroll down, you will see that there is an outcomes and performance report after the data input section. The cells in this section of the worksheet are locked, and the results will fill in and auto-calculate as you input project data into the data entry section. Off to the side, you will see for reference the benchmarks and thresholds from the last version of the CoC's renewal project evaluation and scoring standards and the latest system performance measures outcomes. This allows you to see how your project is performing in comparison to those thresholds and benchmarks. The final section in this worksheet is the agency comments section. This is where agency staff should enter in any additional information that you would like to be recorded to explain the data or outcomes. For example, you might enter into this space information about data errors and outstanding HMIS tickets, or staffing changes, or extenuating circumstances related to participants that may have impacted the outcomes. Let's move to the next worksheet in the workbook. The next worksheet is the Outcomes Report Only worksheet. This worksheet allows you to view the same outcomes and performance report without the general info and data entry sections. If you want to print out or PDF just the report, this worksheet is set up for that purpose. It's also easier to toggle back and forth from the QM Eval tool, data entry section, as you are entering data, to see the outcomes as they are generated. This worksheet is locked and will pull the information from the report based on the data input into the QM Eval tool data entry worksheet. Here I have pulled up a test version of the workbook where you can see what the report looks like when the data entry is completed. Here you can see that the report is programmed to show you how your project's outcomes compare to the evaluation and scoring thresholds, and the SPM outcomes. If the project has met or exceeded the upper threshold for the criteria, you will see a green check mark. If the project has met the lowest threshold, but has not met or exceeded the upper threshold, you will see a yellow exclamation mark. If the project has not met any of the thresholds, you will see a red X. This gives you an indication of where the project is or is not meeting the performance expectations. You will also see that there are many criteria listed without any thresholds noted, and this is because these are additional data points that may not be scored or for which there are no benchmarks or thresholds. In addition, you'll see here that if a cell shows up in red highlight, it means that this outcome is not a possible outcome. In this case, it's over 100% for something that cannot be over 100%. This means that there is likely a data entry error that needs to be corrected. There may be additional criteria which are being looked at for informational purposes and which are not being scored or evaluated. These are also going to be shown in the report. Let's move on to the Outcomes Comparison Charts worksheet. We will stay in the test version of the workbook so we can see how the charts look when there is data entered. This worksheet is also locked and is set up for easy printing or export to a PDF. Not all of the metrics listed in the report have a chart. On this worksheet, we have focused on criteria that are being evaluated for the annual renewal project scoring process. The charts are set up to display the outcomes for the project from the data entered for the current quarterly monitoring submission. You'll see that here on the left. As you enter data into the QM Eval Tool data entry worksheet, outcomes will populate in the Outcomes and Performance report and in these charts. The charts are set up to show your project's outcomes compared to the average, median, min, and max values across all projects that are calculated from the last quarterly monitoring submission. Additionally, the benchmarks, if there are any, are shown. This allows you to visually see how your project's outcomes stack up against outcomes across like projects and the scoring benchmarks. For some criteria, the scoring benchmarks vary by project type, and that will also be shown in the charts. There are also some informational charts at the end of the worksheet. These will likely evolve over time, but provide you with a visual for some additional metrics that the CoC is looking at. The next set of worksheets in the workbook are available for reference purposes. There are worksheets showing the tables from the APR export out of CT-HMIS. We use these to show you which data points need to be entered into the QM Eval Tool data entry worksheet for the various APR tables. You'll immediately see that there are many fields that we do not ask you to input into the QM Eval Tool data entry worksheet. If you are unsure of which cells you should be using, you can review these worksheets, and the cells with the red border will indicate the data points we are asking you to input. The last resource worksheet available to you is one that summarizes the latest scoring benchmarks. This same information is available in the Outcomes and Performance report, but it is not part of the print area for the report, so here is where you can print or PDF this information. Additionally, this worksheet includes a link to the latest version of the CoC's scoring standards and evaluation metrics. The scoring standards will show you how various metrics are calculated and are a helpful resource if you would like to know more about that. This concludes our tour of the Project Monitoring Tool workbook. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the CoC.